Ladies and gentlemen, good morning from Egypt. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Today we will discuss two important topics which will be very useful for your business, which will support you to earn much money from Egypt. First topic is the investment opportunities in Egypt. Because the important question is why you would like to invest in Egypt. Is it because the huge market, 110 million consumer, the country is still growing, which need a lot of technologies. The weather is very good all the year. So if you use heating or freezing in manufacturing in Egypt, you will use very little quantity of power for heating or freezing, which decrease the product price, which give you competitive opportunities. Especially if you will invest in South Canal Free Zone area for manufacturing. In this area, you can import the raw material and the machines free of taxes and duties. This area is too near to the port, so zero cost for transportation to import or export. Also, when you manufacture in this area, you can export your products to Africa and Gulf countries free of custom duties because Egypt signed free trade agreements with all neighbors. In South Canal Free Zone area, zero tax for your investment. Also now, Egypt is the best place in the world for the renewable power projects because Egypt infrastructure is ready now for this kind of projects, especially the solar cells and the wind turbines. For sure now, Egypt going quickly in the green hydrogen production. Egypt already established 3 green hydrogen factories. Also, there are a lot of investment opportunities in growing country like Egypt as the following. The construction market and the infrastructure projects, petroleum and natural gas, the healthcare industry and medical devices, digital transformation equipments, telecommunication equipments and services, agriculture sector, education and training, water and environment. So you can earn money from investing in these subjects in Egypt, and you are welcome in Egypt all the time. And now we are speak about the important topic today. It's the intellectual property rights. Nowadays, companies know the assets and the stock, but often they don't know about their soft assets, the intellectual property rights, IPR. The value of the companies nowadays is calculated by intellectual property rights value. Knowing your IPR value generates business growing, economic development, and employment. For this reason, it's important to protect your company innovation and generate their exclusivity. This protection is an incentive for investment in RDI and the development of new technologies. Egypt has signed all the important multinational agreements which secure your intellectual property rights in Egypt as the following: Trademark Law Treaty, Patent Cooperation Treaty, Strasbourg Agreement concerning the international patent classifications, Convention establishing the World Intellectual Property Organization, Nice Agreement concerning the international classifications of goods and services for the purpose of registration of marks, Madrid Agreements concerning the international registration of marks, Berne Convention for the protection of artistic works, Paris Convention for the protection of industrial property, Agreement concerning the trade-related aspects of intellectual property, Nairobi Treaty on the protection of the Olympic symbols, Washington Treaty on intellectual property in respect of integrated circuits, International Convention for the protection of new varieties of planets. Through these agreements, Egypt guarantees for you equality treatment of the local and foreign intellectual property rights, international registration of your intellectual property rights. If you register your intellectual property rights in your country headquarters, if you register your intellectual property rights in your company headquarters, by Madrid Agreement and Paris Agreement under WIPO, then your intellectual property rights are protected in Egypt and you could enforce it directly by the Egyptian government. In Egypt, intellectual property means financial assets. Intellectual property right in Egypt included a wide range of scope that includes trademark, industrial design rights, patents, and copyrights of books, photos, films, music, and software. Intellectual property law number 82 is the main intellectual property law in Egypt. It included grants to protect your trademark, industrial designs rights, patent, and copyright in Egypt. Trademarks in Egypt. What are the trademarks in Egypt? Trademark in Egypt has the same meaning of trademark in EU and no required to use Arabic characters or symbols into your trademark design. Who can register the trademark in Egypt? The registration of the trademark can be carried out personally or through an authorized legal representative. Which language can you use in the registration? The application is in Arabic and you must submit it in Arabic. Where and what are the registration procedures? In Egypt, the government registration office called ITAD. You should submit your registration physical in ITAD. Then ITAD tests your trademark. Once the application approved by ITAD, ITAD publish the trademark in the official gazette. There is a 2-month period from the date of publication during which any interested party may file an opposition notice. In the absence of opposition, a published trademark is registered and the relative certificate will be issued by ITAD to you. If you registered your trademark in European Union Intellectual Property Office by Madrid Agreements under WIPO umbrella, you can get direct certification from ITAD to enforce your trademark in Egypt by Egyptian government, police, or custom authorities. How long does legal protection last for the trademark in Egypt? The trademark registration is valid for 10 years from the date of filing the trademark application, and it's renewable for a period of 10 years each upon application and payment of the renewable fees. How much is the registration cost for trademark? Government fees to apply for a trademark are about $70 American per mark per class. The average market price of professional support for trademark filing is about $300 American per mark and per class. Now let's speak about the patents in Egypt. What are the patents in Egypt? Patent of innovation shall be granted according to the provision of the law herein for each innovation, which is industrial, applicable, novel, and involves an inventive step, either concerning new industrial products, innovative industrial methods, or new application of known industrial methods. So patent in Egypt has the same definition of patent in European Union. And the important question, who can register the patent in Egypt? You can register it personally or through an authorized legal representative. And the registration application must be in Arabic, and you must submit your application in Arabic and with the translation for all your documents in Arabic. Where and what are the registration procedures for patent? EGPO is the Egyptian Government Office for Patent Registration. EGPO receives the registration application. The patent law says that the registration application should be filed before the invention publication or industrial using. If you registered your patent in European Union Intellectual Property Office by Paris Convention under the umbrella of WIPO, you can get direct certificate from EGPO to enforce your intellectual property rights in Egypt, government by police and custom authorities. How long does the legal protection last for the patent in Egypt? A patent registration is valid for 20 years, starting from the date of filing the application. How much does the registration of the patent cost in Egypt? The government fees to apply for a patent are about $150 American per class, and the average market price of professional support to patent filing about $900 American per class. And now let's discuss about the industrial design in Egypt. What are the industrial design in Egypt mean? Industrial design in Egypt definition is every arrangement of lines and every design, with or without colors, if it's clearly and applicable for industrial use, shall be considered as an industrial design or model. And you can register your industrial design by yourself or through an authorized legal representative. And the registration procedures will be in Arabic, and you should submit your application in Arabic, and all the other documents must be translated to Arabic. Where and what are the registration procedures for the industrial designs in Egypt? ITAD is the Egyptian government office for design registration. The registration of a design or industrial model is subject to cancellation in the event any interested party submit opposition proof that this design is old. Opposition of the registration of an industrial design can be submitted within 2 months from the publication date of the industrial design. The registration, assignment, and the cancellation of design and industrial model registration are published in the official gazette and entered in the registration. Also, if you registered your industrial model in European Union Intellectual Property Office by Paris Convention under WIPO umbrella, you can get direct certificate from ITAD to enforce your industrial design into Egyptian government by the police and the customs authority. How long does legal protection last? A design or industrial model registration is valid for 10 years starting from the date of filing the application. A registration can be renewed once for further 5 years. How much does the registration cost for the industrial design? Government fees to apply for industrial design are about $50 American per class. The average market price of professional support to industrial design filing is about $300 American per class. The registration language is Arabic language, and you should submit all of your documents in Arabic. Now let's discuss about the copyrights in Egypt. What are the copyrights in Egypt? The copyrights in Egypt are the rights of the authors to their artistic works, such as books, articles, music, movies, computer software. So copyrights in Egypt has the same definition of copyrights in European Union. And you can register your copyrights in Egypt by yourself or through an authorized legal representative. Also, all the registration procedures will be in Arabic language, and you should submit your registration application in Arabic language. Where and what are the registration procedures? For the registration application of copyrights must be submitted in the Culture Affairs Supreme Council at the Ministry of Culture in Egypt. Once an application for the registration of copyrights is filed, it's examined as to form only. Then the council issues the copyrights protection certificates. How long does the legal protection last for the copyrights in Egypt? Copyrights in Egypt protected for the lifetime of the author plus 50 years following his death. How much does the registration cost for the copyrights? The government fees to apply for copyright are about $50 American per class. The average market price of professional support for copyright filing is about $300 American per class. And now let's speak about the protection of the new plant varieties. Egypt, after accepting the 1967 UPOV Convention in 2019, is obligated to provide protection for the new plant varieties. The protection period is 25 years for trees and grapes and 20 years for other plant varieties. And now let's speak about the important question for you: how you can save your intellectual property rights in Egypt, how you can enforce your intellectual property rights in Egypt. Enforcing your intellectual property rights in Egypt. Under Egypt law, if any violation happened to your intellectual property rights, there are 3 types of legal actions you can use as the following: legal civil action, action intended to stop unauthorized using of your intellectual property rights and compensate the damage caused by this violation. And then the second way is the legal criminal action. Intellectual property rights violation included as a criminal offense that shall be prosecuted by the government representing the interest of the society. And the last way for you is the legal border measure. The custom officers have the authority to prevent the custom clearance of a good in case of violation for intellectual property rights. It should be pointed out that the judicial process in Egypt is slowly. So the important questions: what to do if any violation for intellectual property rights in Egypt? The holder of intellectual property rights certificate submit a written request to stop the violation and confiscate the fake products, personally or through an authorized legal representative. And you can fill the complaint in the area police station or the area custom authority or in the trade police station. And what is the complaint result? The government shall confiscate of the fake products if the inspection confirm its counterfeit and prisons the criminal. And now it's important to you to listen to the next story. This story is explaining what happened with the European Union company which come to invest in Egypt and which come to invest in Africa like the other countries, and it happened a violation for its intellectual property rights. So this European company is Nike. On October 2018, Nike Egyptian agent found that there is big shop sold non-original shoes use Nike trademark. Then the agent submitted legal complaint into the trade police office. Then the police officers went to this violated shop and catch all the shoes which use Nike trademark. It were 30 shoes. The police officers request the original invoice of these shoes from the shop to prove if these shoes are original from Nike. This violated shop missed the original invoice, so the police officers registered criminal lawsuit against the shop and sent it to Cairo Criminal Economic Court. On April 2019, Cairo Primary Criminal Economic Court issued the judgment that the violated shop must pay fine 20,000 Egyptian pounds. It's look like 600 euro. On September 2019, the violated shop submitted judgment appeal. On September 2020, Cairo Appeal Criminal Economic Court issued. On September 2020, Cairo Appeal Criminal Economic Court issued the final judgment that the violated shop must pay fine 20,000 Egyptian pounds. On June 2021, Nike Egyptian agent submit compensation lawsuit against the violated shop in Cairo Primary Economic Court, requested to get 300,000 Egyptian pound, 10,000 euro as a compensation for the violation. On October 2021, Cairo Primary Economic Court issued the judgment that the violated shop must pay 200,000 Egyptian pound. It's look like 6,000 euro as a compensation to Nike. So 30 months procedures to get 6,000 euro compensation for 30 fake shoes. So the lesson learned from this story is a true story and actually story happening in the Egyptian market for the Nike trademark. So the lessons from this story is European Union companies should have Egyptian agent to inspect the products in the market to see if there are fake products. In Egypt, you should submit the violation complaint by yourself because the government inspection into the market is very little. According to the Egyptian legal frame, you should success in the criminal court before submit the compensation lawsuit. The judgment procedure in Egypt are very slowly. The compensation judgment amount in Egypt is full right for the judge. And now I told you all of my message and I am ready to listen to your question and to answer all of your questions. But firstly, I would like to invite you to visit Egypt when you can. Now we have the great weather around the world in Egypt, and you can enjoy your investment and vacation in Egypt anytime. Thank you for everybody.
Thank you very much, Dr. Said, for your presentation. It was very detailed and also concise. So it was important to go straight to the point for us. So I think you covered all the most important aspects that we wanted to hear from you. So thank you very much for this. And if I may open the question and answer session, maybe I would like to break the ice with a comment. For example, let's say that I am a small company from one of the European Union countries that is thinking about extending its business, opening its branch in Egypt, but I would like to have my brand protected. I already have my trademark registered at European Union level, and I would like to extend this protection also to Egypt. What is the fastest way through which I could do it? I'm asking this because you mentioned during your presentation the Madrid system, but for companies, I mean, we can mention Madrid system, but maybe they don't understand what exactly is. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on this aspect and explain what is the best way, in your opinion, to do something like that. For example, I have a brand in Europe and I want to go to Egypt and protect my brand. My brand is already registered in Europe. How can I extend this protection to Egypt?
Okay, it's not enough to register your trademark in European Union. Okay, you should register your trademark in your company headquarters firstly. And then when you register your trademark in your company headquarters, you should ask them for worldwide protection under WIPO. So you should register your trademark nationally in your country and ask your National Office for Intellectual Property Rights to register your trademark in a multinational way. And then your national office will ask you which countries would you like to protect your trademark on it. You will tell them that I would like to protect my trademark in Egypt. Then they will register it in your mother country. And then you have the certificate that you register your trademark in multinational way under WIPO umbrella. By this certificate, you can come direct to Egypt with your registration number, and on the Egyptian Office for Trademark, which called ETAD, you can submit your multinational registration certificate, and then they will give you a national Egyptian certificate, which you can use with police office here or custom authorities or with the Egyptian government in any way to certify that you own this trademark from any violation happening to it.
Thank you. I think this is a very valuable information, and it also simplifies a lot the procedure, because if I am, for example, from European Union, I go to our office, the European Union Intellectual Property Office, and request international registration under the World Intellectual Property Office. And in this way, I designate Egypt as a country where I would like my trademark to be, my protection for trademark be extended. And then you continue the process in Egypt. So I think it's very interesting. I would like to ask maybe how long that would take in general, if you have an estimate of timeline for a company to do this.
Usually it should take like 7 working days.
Excellent. So it should be very fast. So thank you very much. I think this is important information for companies who are attending this this webinar. Let's see if we have questions. Maybe another one. You mentioned about legal procedure in case of infringement, and the fact that it can be time consuming for companies. I would like to ask you, is there in Egypt any dedicated intellectual property court specifically working only on IP cases, or it is generally a task for general courts?
Intellectual property rights law in Egypt is under umbrella of Egyptian Economic Court. So we have, in Egypt, we have a civil court, and we have a commercial court, and we have an economic court. Economic court includes the intellectual property rights, and the economic court is more quickly than the other courts. So you can find the experts into the economic court for the intellectual property rights. But we have 2 economic courts, one of them for the compensation and one of them for the criminal fine.
Thank you. This is also very important to know, because in Europe we have specific courts, so it's a different approach. Okay, maybe another point that I would like to flag in this debate. I wanted to ask you, for example, if a company decides to go to Egypt, you said it's important to have a local agent there, but you mentioned about, let's say, market surveillance, to prevent infringements. But we believe that it's also important, when you decide to protect your IP rights, to be well advised before you go. So we always recommend, when you go to Africa in general, but I believe that is also the case to when you decide to move to Egypt, to be advised by experts and IP advisors. Is this something that you tend to agree with? Meaning that if I am a company and I want to register by myself, can I do it? Or yes, but it would be better to be assessed, and why?
It's easy procedure, and you can do it by yourself, because you will just submit an application which will explain what the procedure you need. But let tell you that all the documentation in the Egyptian government is by Arabic language.
Yes.
So as a lawyer, I advise all my clients not to sign any document with another language than his mother language. So not to sign any application without understanding its meaning. So in this case, I advise you to have an Egyptian employee or Egyptian distributor or agent to support you and to help you. And also we have a good attorneys in law in Egypt, which who can give you good advices in intellectual property rights.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Indeed, the language is an important aspect to be considered. But let's say if I am Arabic speaking, you say that is usually a simple procedure if you want to apply and register an IP rights, right?
Yes.
Okay, that is not likely to be the case for many European companies because Arabic is not our official language, but it's good to know that
I would like to explain something. Do you listen
yeah.
me?
Yes.
My advice to you to register your trademark and all of your intellectual property rights before you came to Egypt, before you come to Egypt. Why? Because the Egyptian National Office for Registration take a long time to register your trademark. So if you would like to start registration for a trademark nationally here in Egypt, it take like 10 months or 12 months. So it's better for you to register it in European Union Intellectual Property Office by a multinational protection and then come to use it in Egypt, not to start registration in Egypt because it will take a long time for you.
Yes, okay, this is referred to what we mentioned before, that it would be faster than to go for international registration, to designate Egypt as a country to extend your protection. Yes, thank you for the clarification, very relevant as well. And now, let's see if there are other questions. I would like to use this opportunity again to exploit your expertise for another couple of remarks. Enforcement is an important aspect, as you mentioned in your presentation. You underlined this case of Nike company that found some fake products on the market, and it took a long time to let's say, solve the issue and to have the infringers prosecuted. So, in your opinion, let's say when you go to Egypt and you decide to sell your product, is there anything you could do before entering to Egypt that could help you to avoid having some troubles with infringement? I see some kind of preventing measures for a company that should take into account.
Yes. You should make a market studies. You should understand who is your competitors in the Egyptian market and if they're using fake trademarks for you or for your competitors. So you should, before you come to Egypt to invest or for trade, you should study our market carefully because it's a big population market, not all of it under control. So you should take a look in this market by yourself or by your agent or by your representative yourself.
Okay, so this is also good to consider. Thank you for the clarification. I would like now to ask our public if they have any specific question or topic that they would like to address. Feel free to write it into the chat or to raise your hand. I saw a raised hand before. I don't know if anyone would like to comment anything specifically before we... Yeah, I see Mr. Mahmoud Orban with his hand raised. Could you please?
Andrea?
Yes, thank you.
Regarding the Nike case, Dr. Ahmed said he told there is a fine 10,000 euro or 300,000 Egyptian. I think it's a very less for Nike shoes like that. But I think the law of Egyptian will change soon for enforcement, and there will be one authority like Saudi Arabia soon, inshallah, and the law will be changed for enforcement also because the fees are very less regarding the high product like Nike and like that. Number two, regarding you are talking about market before enter the market. You must, as Dr. Ahmed said, you must register the patent or register the trademark and studying also the competitor in the market. Number three, we are talking about, Dr. Ahmed said about something else regarding the enforcement. I think this before the currency fluctuations. This means it will increase the amount of dollar or equivalent in dollar. I think these cases are before currency fluctuations. I think like that. And Egypt is coming because I think within 1 year, inshallah, everything will be in good order, inshallah, because before the end, inshallah, of 2024, we will have the Egyptian authority, inshallah, and the law will be changed to be better for enforcement like that. Thank you.
Would you like to answer to the questions or to comment on something, Ahmed?
Firstly, thank you for your conversation, and I would like to highlight important issue in the compensation point. The compensation right is a full judge right, so the judge has the right to say for this compensation 10,000 Egyptian pound or 100,000 Egyptian pound. It's something in the judge hand. It's not depend in any legal article. It just by his mind. It's just compensation by the judge mind. He decided how much is the damages, and then he decided how much is the compensation. So it's not a low point. And also, what I would like to tell the people about it, please do your inspection in the Egyptian market by yourself. The government not make an inspection for all the markets. So if you would like to see if there is any violation for your trademark in Egypt, you should do by yourself or by your representative office.
Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Mr. Mahmoud Orban also mentioned that there would be some law revision coming up soon. Can we maybe elaborate a little bit on this, what this is about, and maybe we can involve also the colleagues from the Internal Trade and Development Authorities. They have more information about what is coming up in the near future and how this can improve the situation and the protection of IP rights in Egypt.
Yes, you will invite the Egyptian government. You will invite Miss Asma from the Egyptian government to speak about the future modified for the law. I don't have information about the new law in this step.
Exactly. I don't know if they want to comment anything, or otherwise, no problem. Okay. Well, we can go to the next question if there is anyone else who is willing to use the expertise of Dr. Said during this webinar. Okay. Maybe something that I would like to ask Dr. Said about in general. Are there any mechanisms in place to protect trade secrets in Egypt, for example, confidential information, how you treat it, like non-disclosure agreements? This is something that also companies are interested in hearing before they go, because if they have a secret to protect, they would like to make sure this is not disclosed when they trade with partners in another country.
Egypt has a special law to protect the personal data, but not the secret trades. So before you share your secret trades in Egypt, you should sign a non-disclosure agreement with the other party. So my advice clear to you, before sharing your trade secrets, you need to sign a non-disclosure agreement with the other party. It's important to save yourself from the damages. Because here in Egypt, we don't have a specific law to save the trade secrets. So you should sign a non-disclosure contract or agreement with the other party.
Okay, so that this is important to know. So to be protected, you always have to make sure you sign with your counterpart a non-disclosure agreement to make sure that your secret is protected and is not disclosed without agreement. So thank you for clarifying this point, very relevant as well.